Hi, I am back, and what I'm going to do today is actually provide a third installment on the Menards F3, as they call it. And like we've said before, most of us agree that it's really not an F3. It's something more in the F7 family. One of the questions has been asked is about the electronics, and did they copy somebody? Is it similar to something? Is it unique to Menards or whatever? And the uniqueness to Menards, I'm not going to be able to answer for you because I don't know squat about electronics, to be honest with you. I don't know anything about frequencies and stuff like that. I know about pushing buttons, and I know trying to get it to do stuff and things like that. And so that's what I'm going to share with you today. And part of what I will show you, or I will tell you, is I have a number of Lionel's ready to play battery operated sets. And what I have found is this remote system that Menards is using is very, very, very similar to what Lionel has. I don't know if it's a coincidence or if they've used the same manufacturer, whatever, I'm not sure. But I'm going to show you a few things, and hopefully they'll be useful to you in the future. I was fortunate enough to get a second unit. And this is how I can do what I'm about ready to show you, and that is, we were all wondering, or a number of us were, that does one remote work all of them? Does each engine have a remote with a unique frequency or modulation or whatever it's called? Again, I'm not the right guy to give you the right nomenclature, but I'll show you what happens with them. So anyway, I am going to put some trains on the track and try them. I haven't put a number on the bottom of each locomotive, number 1 and number 2, number 1 being the first one that I got, and number 2 being the one that I just got. And I did the same with the remote, so that I know which remote came with which engine. So anyway, let me show you a few things, and we'll go from there. All right. In one of the earlier videos, I showed you before and after pictures of after I spray painted the trucks. But instead of before and after here, I'm going to be able to give you nose to nose. You can see the shiny one here on the left, and the more satin aluminum finish on the right. That's the one that I painted. And like I said, on the bottom of the engines, they'll have and the remotes, they're going to have a sticker like that. Okay, that tells me what engine and remote came with what. Okay, this is engine number 1, and as you can see, this is remote number 1. So this is the remote that came with it. So, as you would expect, that remote works that engine. Now, I'm going to switch things out. Okay. Remote number 2, but engine number 1. Okay, now we've got engine number 2, remote number 2. It's doing exactly what it should do. Engine number 2, remote number 1. Does exactly what I would expect it to do. Okay, showed you what happened with the remotes and the different engines, and either remote works either engine just fine. Now, me being the non-electrical technical type of guy, in my mind, I should be able to put both of those on the track, turn on the power, and use a remote that is known to work both engines and run the engines together. That's just a theory for a simple mind like mine. So that's what we're going to do next. Well, okay, here both engines on the track, and we're going to bring up some power. This engine is powering up and making noise. The number 2 engine is not doing anything. So it's basically dead. Now, I've got remote number 1 in my hand. And as to be expected, because that engine is dead, I'm just spinning the wheels on the locomotive. It's not pushing the weight. You can see it rocking back and forth. So that answers one of our questions. Now, using the other remote, and it's doing the same thing. So even though individually each remote responds, one remote won't respond to them both. But now, you notice, and what I have now is I have both remotes on and both remotes running forward. So again, not understanding the electronics end of this, these have, one engine has selected the first signal for the remote that was turned on. And the second engine would not receive it. So you were, and then when you turn both remotes on, now they both are receiving a signal, but it would appear to be a different signal. So there's some kind of scrambling in there that keeps one remote from running 2 engines. You need both remotes. So let's play a little bit more. Now, just for fun, I am sticking a B unit in between. I'm going to bring up some track power. And I get the same thing, that right now only one engine is responding to the track power. And this is a Williams B unit, by the way. I had a Lionel one in there, and it didn't seem to look as good. So now I am going to try and see, I put that engine there, trying to get it to go forward. Well, it can't because it's got all that drag. What if I turn up the reverse on the back engine? And there you go. So if you utilize two remote controls, if you want them to run, you know, like a normal AA, tail to tail, you have to do that with the direction control on the two remotes. Like I said, I had actually tried this, tried to put a Lionel B unit in there, and just aesthetically I wasn't impressed. The colors were off and stuff like that. The Williams B unit is really superb. So anyway, that's a little bit of fun information. It's kind of neat to know that you can run them as two power units. Should make the pulling power just amazing if you have that much rolling stock you want to drag around. But like I try to tell everybody, pulling tons of cars is kind of fun for just a little bit, but you are putting undue stress, you know, on the engines, even if you're running, you know, a dual set of engines. So, you know, if you want to put 1,000,000 cars behind it and run it just to prove it'll do it, that's cool. But then after you do that, you know, kind of settle down to 10 cars or something like that, you know, 10 or 11 cars. Save the wear and tear on the engine. Now, what led me to this little experiment is, as I mentioned before, I have a number of the ready-to-play Lionel sets. And a buddy of mine, Jeff Meyer, and myself have found that after we modify them to run on standard gauge track, which that part's irrelevant, but that's one of the things we do with them, is they do this exact same thing. And doesn't make, you know, with the steam engines, who cares? But they did come out with some gorgeous New York Central and Santa Fe F3 type diesels. And so we both have these diesels that we run as AAs, battery controlled, and we run them exactly like this. We use two remotes and run them that way. One forward, one reverse, and powering them up, it's the exact same thing. It catches the first signal, and that locomotive goes on, and the other one won't until you turn the other remote on, and now all of a sudden they'll both sync in. So anyway, a little bit of fun to play with if you ever get the opportunity to get a second one. In my case, I want to thank Frank for sending me this, and we've already got a little bit of runtime on it, and it gave us a chance to play around and see kind of how the electronics work. And it's really interesting. So you can run them together with the caveat you need both remote controls. Okay? If I come up with anything new on these critters, I will post another video. All right? Bye.